Much pressure on it, just let it kind of go.
Kind of work it down there all together, huh?
Yeah, just kind of work it down all together, get down halfway there, like that, where that membrane is there.
Is it easy to tear the hide there when you're doing that, or how hard are you pressing?
Well, you see, I'm not pressing hard at all. No.
You're just kind of working it down.
Yeah, and keep it in an angle, so I do, just like that there. And then what I'll do is I'll turn it over and get the bottom and go down that far and just keep working it down like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I do. No, you don't have to put much residue, but you can tear a fox real easy.
They're very delicate, huh?
Yeah, and if you had a burr or something other in there,
there's some BBs there. We might want to get them out of there.
If that was a burr or something other in there, you'd tear that right off.
See that BB there?
That'll be all right. It'll come out with it. So when I get down that far, then what I like to do is just take it right over the edge.
And you just put the one leg through there, didn't you?
Yeah, just put the one leg right through there. Just let it use itself. And you got to watch on the stomach because of the tits on a male or female. If you press real hard, you'll rip it right out right there. You got to be careful there.
There's a BB there.
Yep, there's a BB.
Not applying much pressure at all, just
no,
kind of working it down there all together.
Yeah, you just let the knife do its job. It does.
Now those BB holes, are they going to have any effect as far as grade or anything like that?
I think if it's, they let you allowed 7 or 8 holes, small holes like that in a hide.
Really?
Yeah.
So shotgun's a pretty good weapon of choice then, as far as getting the most out of your hides.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about having them big holes in them then, that's for sure.
Unless you get them in a frontal shot with some calibers are pretty good.
Yeah. See, it's just to take your time and just work yourself around and down. And this is coming out real nice.
And we left some of that fat in there. It's just going to come right out all together.
Yeah, we're going to see. I'm working it out right there, right now.
Right.
Now, see, there's the penis. Get a knife or the skin from the penis onto the hide. So what I want to do is I want to take that, and the hide is here, so we don't want to cut that. So we'll just ease it up. And you see, there's the hole from the penis. But it turns out real easy. Just take your time and go slow. Don't use a whole lot of pressure.
It didn't look like it didn't take you long at all to get that work down there. Jeez.
Oh, I mean, if I was working, really to get it done, well, I'd have been done with it by now. But I'm taking my time so I can show you how to do it. Just how easy it really is. I don't know why some guys they act like they're kind of scared to do it. You see, we took the whole membrane off of this, which makes it look a lot nicer. I kind of like that, so I do. But you
really don't need don't have to.
No, not really. It don't hurt a thing. But I'm taking it off because I think it looks nicer. Now you got to be a little careful down here. Get down here because you put too much pressure, it'll.
Is it kind of thinner down there?
Well, you got to watch. See, it'll take the hide. Tear the hide here at the end. So it is. If you're not careful.
Right.
If you just feel it going, Like that. What I usually like to do when I get that loose stuff like that, I just like to take it off cut it loose with the knife.
Well, you have less to work with.
Yeah, well, you can see what you're doing a little better. so you can, when you get that off. But there's very little we have to take off of that. There it is. And stretch it out. But it gets a little harder to get off down here at the bottom because you don't have really all that much on there. Now, if you was really pushing real hard, you could take and tear that whole thing right off of there. And there's that leg done.
Not much there, is there?
No, there isn't down here. I guess here. You just get the fat off of it. You don't have to worry too much about that. You got what you need off of there. Just the fat there. If you was going to, have it tanned, if you was going to tan it or something, then you'd take this others off. But here from the ears on down is all you have to really take off. So you do.
So you don't need to take much of that off there on the head and around the eyes and that.
No, not unless you're going to have it tan. You're going to tan it yourself.
Yeah.
Whoever tans it usually takes that off too. But you don't need to worry about that. So I do. And I thought I brought a stretcher in here.
Well, here's one.
Yeah. Well, okay, after we got it fleshed, then the next step is to put it on the stretcher and put it with the flesh side out. And the way I do it, the best way I do it, I pull it on, and on the belly side, I take the back legs, pull them down as hard as I can get them, and staple them. One on each, staple on each back leg down, that's on the inside. And then turn it over, and what you want to do is you want to get the skirt, what they call the skirt. That's the from the edge of where it is, to keep that straight across there. Don't pull the tail down, because if you pull the tail down, you're gonna take and thin that out there, and it's not going to look like it is furred up as much as it really is. So you want to keep that straight across there. That is the back of the hide. At the root of the tail, keep that straight across there, staple it straight across there. And you don't have to staple the tail down or anything like that. Just let it hang there, it'll be all right. So it will. And usually it takes, if you have a little bit of heat in a building where your fur shed and that, a little bit of heat, 24 hours is plenty. And then you take it off of there and turn it fur side out. And then you can just pull it down. You don't have to use it. It's already set pretty much on there. And you don't have to use but one or two staples in it to hold it down there. So it is. And I use a wedge stick in mine because I use basswood stretchers, because you keep everything uniform with a wooden stretcher where you can't with a wire stretcher. So I use a wedge piece that goes up through the belly and up through the back. That way it lets the air go up through there and it dries much quicker. So it does. But that's basically what you do for that.
We're going to put it on the stretcher now, right?
Yep. You want to put it on the stretcher. And this is you put it flesh side out first.
Okay.
What I like to do is stand it up.
There could be wire stretchers or wooden stretchers, whatever you got.
Stretchers, but I got a wooden stretcher. I like to use wooden stretchers because
they use their
uniform.
Right.
Yeah, they're uniform. So if you use a wire stretcher, then you push the sides in, and they're not uniform. So you just pull it down like that there, and right here, and then as you turn it over, here's where you want to keep this straight across. You staple here and here. Don't pull this down like that.
Right.
Tail down.
Right.
You want to just keep it straight across there like that there. That way that all the hair that you have is puffing up underneath there. That way it makes it look like the fur that's really there. But if you pull this down here like that there, and that dries like that, and it thins it out there. So you don't want to do that.
Right.
You want to straight across. You'll have to leave it on there about 24 hours like this till it dries. The flesh type dries out some. If you leave it on more than that, you're just going to have to check it, because if you leave it on more than like that, you're not going to be able to turn it, and you have to have the first side out.
So in 24 hours, we're going to take this thing.
Well, the way I like to do it is unloosen it after I have the staples out and everything. So I like to put a staple in up here.
Right.
And then I'll just take it like this and just peel it right off like that. So I will. And then I turn around and I'll put it right back on after it's dry. That's the flesh side down. Where's my head at? See, I didn't staple that, or I would pull it right off.
Yeah.
But then you take and you put it right back over again. It'll be formed, so it will itself. I mean, because it'll be dried. You pull it. And that's what you do. You pull it that way there. So you do. And then staple it back
that same line.
On that same line, staple it back down there. And I have what I like to do is put a tapered stick inside of it. Like this here. Run it right straight up through there to the chin. Right like that there.
And that lets the air get up in there.
That lets the air get up in there.
To dry it out.
In case if it isn't dry enough. But another thing you want to do, though, is before you ever turn it, well, as soon as you put it on, is take this lip off of it. So, and I'll turn it. I'll put it back on there and show you. How to take that lip off of there. Now, to take that off of there, if you just hold that and pretend that it's stapled there, you just pull up on that lower lip, and just go like this here. And you got it right off. Nice round, the way it's supposed to be.
And that's the bottom lip you cut off there.
Yeah, take the bottom lip off because it
ain't worth nothing.
It ain't worth nothing, and it's just the way they want them to do them. So they do is take that bottom lip off. And these legs, when you turn it, you make sure they're inside.
Okay.
So you do. Let's take it off there. And now we'll put it back on there just like we had it. We got just a little bit ahead of ourselves. I had to pull it down over there. You had to pull it down to the bottom. They don't slide very good on there when they're wet like that on a board. Okay. You see the legs here? You want to make sure that they're pushed inside there. When you take the hide out, you want to make sure that they're inside. Like that, see? So you wouldn't even see that leg. It's in the inside. You want to make sure they're in the inside. That's the reason why you cut them off kind of short. That's exactly the way they should turn out after they're completely dried. Like that. So they do. And then after they're completely dried, you take them off and
make some money.
Just hang them up. Now, you don't have to put no chemicals on there or anything to preserve it, so you don't just dry it. And the least amount of moisture in the air that you have in your building, and if you put a little bit of heat, if you have a little bit of heat in your building, that flesh is going to dry enough in 24 hours. I mean, it's to turn it. It's going to be just fine. And just turn it and put it back on the stretcher with the first side out, and put your pin back up in there and just let it hang. So you do for 3-4 days, and if the temperature and everything's right, it'll be taken off of there, and then you can store it till you get ready to sell your hides. My grandson, I'm real proud of him to teach him a little something that I don't have anybody to pass it on to, and I'm really glad to do it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you teaching me, because that's something I learned today that I'll remember for the rest of my life, and I'll be able to take care of the hides and hopefully get the top lot.
Hope so.
Hopefully.
Hope
but
so.
thanks for taking the time to show us today, and hopefully that everybody at home has learned a few things on preparing your hides and fur harvesting.